Okay, so next, what we're going to discuss is which countries lose the most in terms of oil, uh, you exports in the Iran-based war. Okay, so we're going to go through all the different countries. So I'm just going to go to the next page here. Okay, so there's all export volumes that I just mentioned by key countries affected here. Once again, similar to our last model in the last episode. If you haven't seen it, feel free to go back and watch it. If you're just interested in countries, feel free to stay here. Just explain the model a little bit more detail, probably in the last, but this is a slightly different model. So selected disruption here. So we can see the day, this is in daily. Last model was in the annual global export average. This is just the daily average for global export volume throughout the world, which is the blue bit here. This is the supply at risk. So what runs through Strait of Hormuz, Strait of Malacca, Suez Canal, and Bab el Mandeb. So that's that there. Right. So this is all scenario based. So if I want to look at a 50% closure here, I get 50%. Okay, we can see here that this is the supply at risk, which is really, 35 million barrels per day. The new daily average would come down to 17.49 there at 50% disruption rate. At each one, assuming at each one of these particular um, choke points or shipping routes. So if I want to look at like just the Strait of Hormuz, so that's a lot of it. It's the Strait of Hormuz has been shut, okay, at 100%. I don't know if you were getting through, ships are still getting through, but we'll go 95% because it's close enough to the 100%. But you know, let's just say the average was, let's just say the Strait of Hormuz is 100% shut for the sake of this example, and um, you know, the Strait of Malacca is 95% shut, 5% of ships are still allowed through. So we could go in the model here, click on the Strait of Malacca, and then I can look at um, what the supply loss is here, and that's the amount here that is still getting through annually. Okay. So I can then go, okay, well, that's 186 annually. The new daily average oil supply in terms of million barrels a day is 0.51. Okay. And that tells me sort of what's coming across. And then I can look at the oil exports at risk in a country. Okay. And I can look at the supply loss over here via this choke point of the Strait of Malacca by each country here that ships through that particular shipping lane or shipping area. And then down here, this is the oil export supply after this disruption by country. And we can sort of see what that is there. And that's daily as well. All right. So that gives us a bit of an idea as to sort of what this sort of looks like. Okay. So let's say that all of these are 95% shut for the sake of it. We can see there that, going down from 34, and this is all based on 2018 data. Once again, I don't have the latest data from 2025, and this is all calendar year as well. I don't have the latest data from 25, but 2018 data is sort of last sort of big year before COVID, so it's a good one to sort of use to get a bit of a rough estimate. So you can see here, supply risk 34.99 million barrels a day. The new daily average oil supply here with 95% closure is 1.75. So, you've got a massive drop here. But the main point of this model is to have a bit of a look and go, okay, well, what is the damage here? And we can sort of see here by country what the damage is here. It's what these countries are going to export due to the selected disruption scenario. That's what they were exporting before this scenario, roughly. And this is the loss in here, potential supply loss by country, to see who's affected the most. So if we want to look at who is affected by this war the most in terms of the volume of oil exported throughout these four different choke points, we can see here that Saudi Arabia is the most affected. Russia is quite affected as well. Um, Iraq, is affected. UAE, Iran, and the US. Okay, so we can sort of see there that you know who's the most sort of affected by each choke point coming down. Now, it's not 100% because we don't have the data of each one of these countries that, what's the volume that they ship through this particular region. This is based on, the total amount. And then, the total amount they produce in a year versus the 55% sort of reduction due to the um, choke point being closed. And then it gives us a bit of an idea as to what that supply loss looks like. Now, to get it a little bit more accurate, you would have to then link the data from each particular country to the which who what percentage they export through these particular places. But if we look at the Saudi Arabia, majority of this, you would say that this is pretty close to accurate. Russia, I don't know who they export to. I don't know what lanes they use. I'd have to check that. Iraq, you'd have to say this is pretty accurate because it's with all their country is situated within this region. Same with UAE and Iran. So the accuracy of the model here is pretty solid. But just keep in mind it's not perfect. All right. So that's that video there. That's the global crude oil export volumes by key countries affected. I can click on the countries here to have a bit of a look too, to look at that breakdown of what they're pushing through each particular choke point there on average. Okay. So yeah, if you enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.